Question posed by Stella Collins on the Training Journal Forum in October 2009. Stella asked, I recently saw millionaire investor Warren Buffett on TV saying that the one book he read that changed his life was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. It got me wondering, what book has changed your life? We, at Manage a Train Learn, were so taken by the idea that we put the same question to our friends in the online learning, coaching and self-help world. Within 3 weeks, we'd received over 300 replies and sparked interest, discussion and debate across the internet. Rather than see the contributions disappear into the thin air of cyberspace, we decided to compile the replies and make them available to a wider audience in a free ebook. And this book is the result. In compiling the list, we did two things. First, we limited the list to 100 based on the frequency of nominations and maybe some personal editing on our part. Secondly, we eliminated the following on the grounds that they were not strictly speaking self-improvement books, religious texts, works of pure fiction, classic works of literature, culture-specific works, and technical manuals. What we were left with were the most favorite self-help books amongst the self-help community. We present them here in alphabetical order, accompanied by reviews from Amazon and thumbnail book covers also from Amazon. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 4 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Like us, you will probably discover some of your own favorites and some that you've never come across before. We hope that this will spark your curiosity and kickstart your further self-development. Our thanks go to Stella Collins for the idea, all the contributors for their suggestions, and, of course, to those writers who have changed, and are still changing, all our lives. Eric Garner, Manage a Train Learn, http://www.manageatrainlearn.com. Eric at manageatrainlearn.com. Note, Stella Collins provides technical and management training to business using brain-friendly techniques through her company Stellar Learning. Find her at www.stellarlearning.co.uk. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 5 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Table of Contents. Anatomy of the Spirit by Caroline Myss 10. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen 11. Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks 12. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand 13. Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins 14. Beyond Survival by Gerald Coffey 15. Blink by Malcolm Gladwell 16. Building the Bridge as You Walk on It by Robert E. Quinn 17. Built to Last by James C. Collins and Jerry I. Porras 18. Clear Leadership by Gervis Bush 19. Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh 20. Crucial Conversations by Carrie Patterson 21. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff by Richard Carlson and Christine Carlson 22. Embracing Change by Tony Buzan 23. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman 24. Execution, The Discipline of Getting Things Done by Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan 25. Facilitation by Trevor Bentley 26. Finding Your Strength in Difficult Times by David Viscott 27. First Break All the Rules by Kurt Kaufman and Marcus Buckingham 28. First Things First by Stephen Covey 29. Follow Your Heart by Andrew Matthews 30. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 6 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Future Shock by Alvin Toffler 31. Getting Things Done by David Allen 32. Getting to Yes by Roger Fisher and William Ury 33. Good to Great by Jim Collins 34. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie 35. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie 36. Illusions by Richard Bach 37. I'm Okay, You're Okay by Thomas Harris 38. In Search of Excellence by Tom Peters and Robert Waterman 39. Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach 40. Killing Sacred Cows by Garrett Gunderson 41. Lateral Thinking by Edward de Bono 42. Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute 43. Lessons from the Monkey King by Arthur F. Carmazzi 44. Love is the Killer App by Tim Sanders 45. Love Leadership by John Bryant 46. Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath 47. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl 48. Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss 49. Now discover your strengths by Marcus Buckingham and Donald O. Clifton 50. Our Iceberg is Melting by John Cotter and Holger Rathgeber 51. Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell 52. Psychocybernetics by Maxwell Maltz 53. Purple Cow by Seth Godin 54. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com page 7 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter 55. Rules of the Red Rubber Ball by Kevin Carroll 56. Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert 57. Talent is Overrated by Jeff Colvin 58. Thanks, The Science of Gratitude by Robert Emmons 59. The 100 Absolutely Unbreakable Laws of Business Success by Brian Tracy 60. The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell 61. The 360-Degree Leader by John Maxwell 62. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey 63. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho 64. The Art of Effortless Living by Ingrid Bocci 65. The Art of Joyful Living by Swami Rama 66. The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron 67. The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield 68. The Education of Little Tree by Forrest Carter 69. The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand 70. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz 71. The Goal by Eliyahu M. Goldratt 72. The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino 73. The Greatness Guide by Robin Sharma 74. The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch 75. The Law of Attraction by Michael Lozier 76. The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz 77. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com page 8 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma 78. The 1 Minute Manager by Kenneth Blanchard 79. The Power of Full Engagement by Jim Loehr and Tony Schwartz 80. The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer 81. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle 82. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy and Ian McMahon 83. The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck 84. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles 85. The Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukov 86. The Secret by Rhonda Byrne 87. The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra 88. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson 89. The Speed of Trust by Stephen M. R. Covey 90. The Starfish and the Spider by Ori Braffman and Rod A. Beckstrom 91. The Success Principles by Jack Canfield 92. The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff 93. The Universal Traveler by Don Koberg and Jim Bagnall 94. The Voice of Knowledge by Don Miguel Ruiz 95. The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman 96. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill 97. Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom 98. Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins 99. Use Both Sides of Your Brain by Tony Buzan 100. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com page 9 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. What Did You Say? By Charles N. Seashore, Edith Whitfield Seashore, and Gerald M. Weinberg 101. What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith 102. Who Moved My Cheese? By Spencer Johnson 103. Who's Got Your Back? By Keith Ferrazzi 104. Why Should Anyone Be Led by You? By Rob Goffey and Gareth Jones 105. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay 106. You Can Negotiate Anything by Herb Cohen 107. You Can Win by Shiv Khera 108. Your Erroneous Zones by Wayne Dyer 109. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com page 10 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Anatomy of the Spirit by Caroline Myss. Encoded within your body, teaches Drive. Myss is an energy system linking you directly to the world's great spiritual traditions. Through it you have direct access to the divine energy that seamlessly connects all life. In Anatomy of the Spirit Drive, Myss offers a stunning picture of the human body's hidden energetic structures while revealing its precise spiritual code and relationship to the sacred energy of creation. Our most revered wisdom traditions, including Judaism, Christianity, and Hinduism, hold in common essential teachings about 7 specific levels of spiritual development, the stages of power in life. These 7 great truths also grace the human body as an energetic system, a spiritual compass pointing the way to the divine. By honoring this inborn code, you can learn to see the symbolic blocks within your energy centers and their correlations with your health, relationships, and spiritual development. Richly interwoven with research, examples, and self-diagnostic guidelines, Anatomy of the Spirit will take you to the heart of the spiritual life and beyond. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 11 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. This little book, filled with much wisdom, can be summed up in this one sentence: all that a man achieves and all that he fails to achieve is the direct result of his own thoughts. Overall, this book is about taking responsibility for your lot in life, the good and the bad, as it can all be traced to the thoughts you entertain day in and day out. It also shows how our thoughts directly impact our character. We are what we think. How true. I would recommend this book to everyone interested in changing some aspect of their life. It is less than 70 pages and can be read in less than an hour, but its effects could last a lifetime. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 12 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Ask and It Is Given, by Esther and Jerry Hicks. I'll be honest, I don't know what to think of the claim that Esther Hicks is channeling non-physical entities. I initially resisted buying this book because I am cautious around such claims of supernatural inspiration. But I respect Wayne Dyer and other great thinkers who praised this book, so I decided to give it a try. I'm glad that I did. This is one of the most powerful books on manifesting your dreams that I've ever read. Every paragraph contains deep truths that just feel intuitively right. This book is especially effective in showing how our emotions are the key to understanding whether we are on the road to success or failure in manifesting our desires. The exercises are both fun and deeply practical. I particularly like the exercises involving the magical creation box and the prosperity game. They make you feel young again, your imagination is activated and everything suddenly feels possible. I don't know whether the origin of this book is supernatural, nor do I care. The message is true and the exercises work. Try it for yourself. It will change your life. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 13 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Atlas Shrugged, by Ayn Rand. Published in 1957, Atlas Shrugged was Ayn Rand's greatest achievement and last work of fiction. In this novel, she dramatizes her unique philosophy through an intellectual mystery story that integrates ethics, metaphysics, epistemology, politics, economics, and sex. Set in a near-future USA whose economy is collapsing as a result of the mysterious disappearance of leading innovators and industrialists, this novel presents an astounding panorama of human life, from the productive genius who becomes a worthless playboy, to the great steel industrialist who does not know that he is working for his own destruction, to the philosopher who becomes a pirate, to the woman who runs a transcontinental railroad, to the lowest track worker in her train tunnels. Peopled by larger-than-life heroes and villains, charged with towering questions of good and evil, Atlas Shrugged is a philosophical revolution told in the form of an action thriller. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 14 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Awaken the Giant Within, by Anthony Robbins. I first saw Tony Robbins on the Joan Rivers show back in 1993. I was very impressed by his charisma and energy, but like many others, felt that Tony Robbins was just a salesman trying to dupe the naive into buying his books and then all of the other products, seminars, etc. At work, I ran into a friend who was radiant, unusual for her, and unusually bubbly. She told me some of the changes in her life that were taking place, and she had begun to read this book, Awaken the Giant. What really impressed me were the changes that started taking place in the days and weeks that followed. She started to lose weight, was participating more in meetings at work, and then got promoted. I was impressed, so I decided that this must work. I went out and bought Awaken the Giant and began to use the techniques such as the swish pattern and scrambling technique. Awaken the Giant is a huge book, but I read it in 1 week. My job performance improved immediately, as did my tennis game. I got immediate and dramatic results. This is not just a feel-good book, the techniques really work. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 15 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Beyond Survival, by Gerald Coffey. Retired U.S. Navy Captain Coffey was a prisoner of war in North Vietnam from 1966 to 1973, most of the time in Hanoi and in a cell by himself. How he endured and what he learned from the experience are the subjects of this inspiring book. By calling on his inner resources, such as his faith in God, his conviction that the United States was right to be in Vietnam, his love for his wife and children, and his respect for his fellow prisoners, he was able to overcome loneliness and the pain of occasional torture. Each chapter is headed by a paragraph of invincible principles that Coffey discovered for himself during his ordeal. The only real security we have is the certainty that we're equipped to handle whatever happens to us. Humor is integral to our peace of mind and ability to go beyond survival. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 16 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Blink, by Malcolm Gladwell. Blink is about the first 2 seconds of looking, the decisive glance that knows in an instant. Gladwell, the best-selling author of The Tipping Point, campaigns for snap judgments and mind reading with a gift for translating research into splendid storytelling. Building his case with scenes from a marriage, heart attack triage, speed dating, choking on the golf course, selling cars, and military maneuvers, he persuades readers to think small and focus on the meaning of thin slices of behavior. The key is to rely on our adaptive unconscious, a 24/7 mental valet that provides us with instant and sophisticated information to warn of danger, read a stranger, or react to a new idea. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 17 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Building the Bridge as You Walk on It, by Robert E. Quinn. Building the Bridge as You Walk on It tells the personal stories of people who have embraced deep change and inspired author Robert Quinn to take his concept one step further and develop a new model of leadership, the fundamental state of leadership. The exploration of this transformative state is at the very heart of the book. Quinn shows how anyone can enter the fundamental state of leadership by engaging in the 8 practices that center on the theme of ever-increasing integrity, reflective action, authentic engagement, appreciative inquiry, grounded vision, adaptive confidence, detached interdependence, responsible freedom, and tough love. After each chapter, Quinn challenges you to assess yourself with respect to each practice and to formulate a strategy for personal growth. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 18 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Built to Last, by James C. Collins and Jerry I. Porras. Built to Last was an extremely thought-provoking and eye-opening read. Built to Last studies some of the most successful, called the leading companies, and the following companies, non-leaders in an industry. The research for this book produced surprising results for the authors and the reader. The authors found that there were at least 12 commonly held businesses beliefs that their research refuted. In essence, these dearly held business beliefs were myths. These myths included: 1. It takes a great idea to start a company. Few visionary companies started with a great idea. Many companies started without any specific ideas, HP and Sony, and others were outright failures, 3M. In fact, a great idea may lead to road of not being able to adapt. 2. Visionary companies require great and charismatic visionary leaders. A charismatic leader is not required and, in fact, can be detrimental to a company's long-term prospects. I would recommend this book to anyone engaged in developing and running a business at any level. If you want to design, build and run a lasting enterprise, this book has some ideas and insights worth exploring. Martin Schrey. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 19 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Clear Leadership, by Gervis Bush. Expanding on the fresh concepts that made the first edition of Clear Leadership such a success a decade ago, Bush brings up to date the tools and techniques needed to build sustaining partnerships and make today's collaborative organizations work. This fully revised edition now includes 23 skill-building exercises, dozens of personal stories and examples, and completely new chapters that add a sharper focus on ways that the original model of the four selves, the aware, curious, appreciative, and descriptive self, can help anyone cut through the miscommunication, misunderstanding, and toxic mush dominating the workplace to achieve clarity, full engagement, and sustained collaboration. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 20 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Conversations with God by Neale Donald Walsch. Blasphemy. Heresy. Who does this man think he is, claiming to speak directly to God? Jesus did it, Muhammad did it, the Jewish prophets did it, but none of their gods had the sardonic wit or raw verve of Prophet Walsh's God. Neale Donald Walsch isn't claiming to be the messiah of a new religion, just a frustrated man who sat down one day with pen in his hand and some tough questions in his heart. As he wrote his questions to God, he realized that God was answering them directly through Walsh's pen. The result, far from the apocalyptic predictions or cultic eccentricities you might expect, turns out to be matter-of-fact, in-your-face wisdom on how to get by in life while remaining true to yourself and your spirituality. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 21 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Crucial Conversations by Kerry Patterson. Wanna argue? Nope. Then you need Kerry Patterson and his co-writers, who describe techniques for effective negotiation and conflict resolution in the context of important, potentially life-changing conversations. Examples include talking yourself into a promotion, bringing up important information at meetings, and working out problems with your spouse. Some tips will sound familiar, such as knowing what you really want and being open to alternatives. However, the book also highlights some themes that are often forgotten in negotiations, such as making it safe for others to express their true feelings and desires. The authors explain how to avoid getting forced into false either or choices and tell you how to remain alert for unstated alternatives or possibilities. This lively book includes many examples drawn from business and personal relationships. We recommend it in particular to those who are new to negotiations and conflict resolution, though it teaches solid skills that any manager, or any marriage partner, for that matter, could benefit from mastering. Rolf Dobelli. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 22 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff by Richard Carlson and Christine Carlson. The cover of this book says it was a best-selling book of the year at one time. After opening it up and glancing through it, it's not hard to see why. The purpose of the book is to get you to look at things, common situations we all come across every day, like being criticized or being given more work than you can possibly finish, and see them a little differently. Believe it or not, it delivers, and in just a page or two at a time, if you can believe that. That's because the wisdom is definitely there, on every page, and it just plain makes sense. Many times I've read a chapter or two and thought, why didn't I think of that before? The other good thing about this tiny book is that you could either sit down and read it cover to cover, or just pick it up once in a while and pick a random chapter to read. Either way, the mini chapters are sure to quickly leave most readers wondering why they make such a big deal out of the things they do. Other short self-help books I like include Finding Happiness in a Frustrating World. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 23 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Embracing Change by Tony Buzan. In this book, Tony Buzan, as usual, reiterates his favorite techniques like mind maps, TEFCAS, radiant thinking, etc. If you've read other books by Tony Buzan, you may find parts of this book monotonous and interesting and not engaging readers' interest. However, there were valuable thought worth consideration in the other parts of the book. Everything changes around us. According to Darwin, neither the strongest nor the smartest species will survive, but that will be able to adapt to the changes of the environment. If we resist changing, we will be at a loss. Procrastination is a form of resistance to change. The body may be the first thing that we postpone taking care of. If we are unfit and our nourishment is poor, all our energy levels will slide. We will become stagnant, in the sense of becoming unmoving, unchanging, are changing towards becoming more unchanging. A body that is stagnant will eventually corrupt itself, it will disrupt the immune system, lose its ability to self-heal, will have no freedom of will, no ability to act to preserve its goal and its ability to change. Maxim Masudin. Life Changers, the top 100 self-help books that changed our lives. www.manageatrainlearn.com, page 24 of 110, Learning Like You Always Dreamed It Could Be. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. There was a time when IQ was considered the leading determinant of success. In this fascinating book based on brain and behavioral research, Daniel Goleman argues that our IQ-idolizing view of intelligence is far too narrow. Instead, Goleman makes the case for emotional intelligence being the strongest indicator of human success. He defines emotional